Racist couple attacks Black Navy SEAL over BBQ. 5 minutes later, justice hits them. Marcus was cooking at the park grill. The smell of chicken filled the air. Marcus was 34 years old and a former Navy SEAL. He was strong and calm. His wife, Lisa, and their 2 kids played nearby. They were waiting for friends to come for a barbecue. It was a sunny Saturday. The park was full of families. Marcus had called 2 weeks ago to book this spot. He wore a t-shirt that showed part of his military tattoo. He had served for 10 years in the Navy SEALs. While checking the grill, Marcus saw an angry white couple walking toward him. The man had a red face and not much hair. The woman walked behind him with her arms crossed. "Hey, you can't take this spot," the man yelled, pointing at the grill. "We always use this area on Saturdays. You people need to find somewhere else." Marcus stayed calm. "Good afternoon. I booked this spot at the park office. I have the paper right here." He reached for the paper on the table. The woman stepped closer. "We don't care about your paper. This has been our spot for years. You should know better than to take over." Marcus saw Lisa moving to protect their children, who stopped, playing to watch. He took a deep breath, wanting to keep peace. "I know you're upset, but there are other free spots in the park today. My family and friends will be here soon, and I've already started cooking," Marcus said, pointing to empty tables nearby. The man got angrier. "You're not listening. We said move your stuff now. People like you think you can go anywhere you want these days." Marcus knew what people like you meant. Other people in the park stopped to watch what was happening. A young woman started recording with her phone. "Sir, I just want a peaceful day with my family," Marcus said firmly. "I have a booking for this spot. Please don't yell around my children." This made the couple even angrier. The man pushed Marcus hard in the chest. "Get your things and get out of our spot now." Marcus barely moved from the push. His body was very strong. His military training taught him to stay calm, and he just stepped back with his hands up. "Please don't touch me again," he said quietly. "This doesn't need to get worse." The woman grabbed a plate of raw food from the table and threw it on the ground. "If you won't move, we'll make you move." Lisa ran to Marcus's side with her phone. "I'm calling the park rangers and the police," she said loudly. The man laughed. "Go ahead. The rangers know us. We're here every weekend." What the angry couple didn't see was the crowd gathering around them. People had their phones out, recording everything. One of the people watching was Carlos, the park supervisor who had helped Marcus book the spot earlier that week. Carlos stepped forward, wearing his park uniform. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, looking at Marcus and the angry couple. The woman turned and looked happy to see a park worker. "Yes. This family took our regular spot and won't leave." Carlos nodded politely. "I see. Does anyone have a booking for this picnic area today?" Marcus calmly reached for his paper again. "I do. I booked it 2 weeks ago for my family gathering today." Carlos looked at the paper and nodded. "This is correct, Mr. Johnson. We have the booking system to avoid these kinds of problems." The man's face got even redder. "We've been coming here for 15 years. We shouldn't need a booking." "I'm sorry, sir, but park rules say you need bookings for the barbecue areas on weekends, especially in summer," Carlos explained. "It's on signs at all entrances and on our website." "This is crazy. You're just taking his side," the woman shouted. By now, 2 police officers had arrived after calls from people in the park. One officer was black, and one was Hispanic. "What's happening here?" asked Officer Rivera, looking around. Before anyone could answer, the man pointed at Marcus. "This guy is being aggressive and won't leave our picnic area." Several people in the crowd spoke up right away. "That's not true," shouted a teenage girl. "They came and started yelling at him, and then that man pushed him." "I have it all on video," said another woman, holding up her phone. "They threw his food on the ground and were saying racist things." Officer Bennett turned to Marcus. "Sir, are you okay? Do you want to press charges for assault and destroying your property?" The angry man suddenly looked worried. "Assault? It was just a small push, and we didn't break anything valuable." Marcus thought about what to do. His military career had taught him about facing consequences. "Yes, I want to file a report. Not just for me, but because this behavior is not okay in a family park." As the officers took statements, more information came out. People from the park came forward and told how the couple had bullied other families before, often picking on minorities who used their picnic area. Carlos said there had been complaints before, but no one had wanted to press charges. The officers took the couple aside, and after watching several videos of what happened, put handcuffs on them. They were charged with assault, destroying property, and disturbing the peace. The woman started crying while the man yelled loudly as they were taken to the police car. Marcus's phone kept buzzing with messages as videos of the incident started spreading online. Local news was already picking up the story about a decorated Navy SEAL being harassed during a family barbecue. As the police car drove away, people in the park started clapping. An old woman came up to Marcus and his family. "I'm sorry that happened to you," she said kindly. "I've seen those two cause problems before, but never had the courage to speak up. Thank you for standing your ground the right way." Other families came over to help clean up the mess and replace the food that was thrown on the ground. What started as an ugly incident turned into something unexpected, a community coming together. By evening, the story was all over the internet. News reports named the couple as Harold and Patricia Whitman, local business owners with many complaints against them. Their hardware store's social media was filled with angry comments as the videos kept spreading. The next day, Marcus got calls from many news stations wanting interviews. Though he didn't want to at first, he finally agreed to one local TV appearance. He didn't want to attack the couple, but to talk about standing up against bullying and racism. "I didn't serve my country to come home and be treated this way," he explained calmly to the reporter. "But I believe in justice, not revenge. I hope this leads to some change." The Whitmans' business suffered right away. Their store lost customers, and within days they made a public apology saying their behavior was misunderstood and not like them. Few people believed them, especially when more people came forward with similar stories about the couple. 1 week later, Marcus got a letter from the city mayor, praising him for staying calm and dignified during the incident. The park department announced new rules against harassment and a community program to make sure all public spaces were welcoming for everyone. For the Whitmans, things got worse. Their business struggled as people stopped shopping there. They faced legal penalties, had to do community service, and were ordered to take classes about treating people fairly. The couple finally sold their store and moved away, their reputation in the community ruined forever. Marcus and Lisa decided to have another barbecue the next month, this time inviting the whole community. Hundreds of people came, including Officer Rivera and Officer Bennett, Park Supervisor Carlos, and many of the witnesses who had stood up for them that day. What began as an ugly show of racism turned into a powerful moment of community unity. As Marcus watched his children playing with kids of all backgrounds, he thought about how sometimes justice comes in unexpected ways, not just through police and courts, but through a community standing together against hatred. The incident at the park became a lesson for the city, a reminder that while racism still exists, so does the power of good people willing to stand against it. And for Marcus Johnson, it strengthened what he had always believed, that the America he had fought to protect was worth continuing to fight for, one barbecue at a time. 3 weeks passed since the incident at the park. Marcus sat in his living room watching the news. The video of the Whitmans yelling at him had been seen by millions of people. Marcus didn't want to be famous this way, but he knew something good might come from it. Lisa came into the room with 2 cups of coffee. "More interview requests came today," she said, sitting next to him. "Even national news now." Marcus shook his head. "One interview was enough. I don't want our kids to keep seeing this story everywhere." Their phone rang. It was Officer Bennett calling with news. "Mr. Johnson, I wanted to let you know that the Whitmans' court date is set for next month. With all the video evidence, the DA is pushing for the maximum penalties." "Thank you for letting me know," Marcus said. "Will I need to be there?" "Yes, they'll need your testimony," Officer Bennett said. "But don't worry, it should be straightforward with all the evidence we have." After hanging up, Marcus went to check his email. There were hundreds of messages from strangers. Some shared their own stories of facing racism. Others thanked him for his military service. A few messages came from other Navy SEALs offering support. One email caught his eye. It was from James Wilson, the owner of a big security company. "Mr. Johnson, I was impressed by your calm handling of a difficult situation. My company is looking for someone with your background and self-control. Would you be interested in talking about a job?" Marcus had been looking for work since leaving the military 6 months ago. This could be a good opportunity. He showed the email to Lisa. "You should call him," Lisa said. "This could be the fresh start we've been hoping for." The next day, Marcus drove downtown to meet Mr. Wilson. The security company office was in a tall building with glass windows. Marcus wore his best suit and arrived early. Mr. Wilson was a tall man with gray hair who had also served in the military. "Marcus, thank you for coming," he said, shaking Marcus's hand. "I'll be honest, I saw how you handled yourself in that video. That's exactly the kind of person I want working for me." They talked for an hour about the job. Marcus would help train security teams and manage important clients. The pay was better than what Marcus had hoped for. "When can you start?" Mr. Wilson asked. "I can start next week," Marcus said with a smile. On his way home, Marcus stopped at the grocery store. As he was checking out, the cashier looked at him with wide eyes. "You're the guy from the video, aren't you? The Navy SEAL from the park?" Marcus nodded, a little uncomfortable with being recognized. "My brother is in the Navy too," the cashier said. "What those people did to you wasn't right. Everyone here is talking about it." Marcus thanked him and headed to his car. He was putting his groceries in the trunk when a woman approached him. She looked nervous. "Excuse me," she said quietly. "Are you Marcus Johnson?" Marcus nodded, wondering what she wanted. "My name is Sarah Whitman. I'm Harold and Patricia's daughter." Marcus was surprised. He hadn't expected to meet any of the Whitmans' family. He stayed calm but was careful. "I saw the video," Sarah said, looking down at her feet. "I wanted to tell you how sorry I am for what my parents did. Their behavior was horrible and I'm ashamed." Marcus didn't know what to say at first. Sarah seemed truly upset. "I don't agree with how they think," she continued. "I've tried to talk to them about their views for years, but they won't listen. Now they've lost their business and they still don't understand what they did wrong." "I appreciate you coming to talk to me," Marcus finally said. That took courage. Sarah looked up with tears in her eyes. "They raised me to be like them, but I chose a different path. I just wanted you to know that not everyone in my family thinks that way." After Sarah left, Marcus sat in his car thinking about their conversation. He felt sorry for her, caught between her parents' behavior and her own beliefs. When Marcus got home, he told Lisa about the job offer and meeting Sarah. "It's strange," he said. "I was so angry at her parents, but seeing how their actions hurt their own daughter made me feel different." "You have a good heart," Lisa said. "That's why I married you." The next few weeks were busy. Marcus started his new job and prepared for the court case. The community barbecue they planned was getting bigger as more people wanted to come. The day before the court date, Marcus got a call from the district attorney. "Mr. Johnson, I wanted to update you. The Whitmans have decided to plead guilty to all charges." "Really? What changed?" Marcus asked. "Their lawyer advised them it was their best option with all the video evidence," the DA explained. "They'll pay a fine, do community service, and take required classes on racial sensitivity." Marcus felt relieved. He wouldn't have to go to court and relive the whole thing. The weekend of the community barbecue arrived. The park was filled with people from all over the city. Marcus and some friends set up 10 grills to cook food for everyone. The park office had given them special permission to use the whole picnic area. Officer Rivera and Officer Bennett came in their regular clothes with their families. Carlos, the park supervisor, helped organize games for the kids. Local businesses donated food and drinks. As Marcus was serving food, he saw Sarah Whitman standing nervously at the edge of the crowd. He walked over to her. "I wasn't sure if I should come," she said. "Everyone is welcome here," Marcus told her. That's the whole point. Sarah joined the barbecue, talking with other people and even helping serve food. By the end of the day, she was laughing with Lisa and some other women. A local reporter came to cover the event. "Mr. Johnson, this is amazing. What made you organize such a big community gathering?" Marcus looked around at all the different people enjoying the day together. "Sometimes the best answer to hate is to bring people together. Food has a way of doing that." The reporter nodded. "And what about the Whitmans? Their store is closed now, and I heard they're moving away." "I hope they learn and grow from this," Marcus said. "But today isn't about them. It's about showing what community should look like." As the sun began to set, someone set up speakers and played music. People started dancing on the grass. Children ran around with glow sticks. Marcus watched it all with a smile. Lisa came up beside him. "You did a good thing here," she said. "We all did," Marcus replied. "Look around. This is the America I fought for." News of the community barbecue spread even further than the original incident. Other cities started planning similar events to bring people together. Marcus was invited to speak at schools about handling conflict and standing up to racism. 3. Whitmans eventually moved to another state. Their store was bought by a young couple who turned it into a community center where people could learn new skills and get help finding jobs. 6 months later, Marcus received a letter. It was from Harold Whitman. The letter was short. "I was wrong. I'm sorry for what I did to you and your family. The classes I had to take opened my eyes to things I never understood before. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know that you changed me." Marcus showed the letter to Lisa. "Do you think he means it?" she asked. "I hope so," Marcus said. "Change has to start somewhere." That evening, as Marcus helped his kids with homework, he thought about how one bad day at the park had turned into something powerful. The community was stronger. His family was doing well. He had a good job. Even the Whitmans were facing their mistakes. Sometimes justice works in surprising ways, Marcus thought. Not just through courts and punishment, but through changed hearts and minds. And that kind of justice lasts much longer. 1 year had passed since the park incident. Marcus's life had changed in many ways. His job at the security company was going well. Mr. Wilson had promoted him to head of training. Now Marcus taught other security workers how to handle difficult situations without violence. The community barbecues had become a monthly event. Every fourth Saturday, people from all over the city came to the park. They brought food, played games, and got to know each other. What started as a response to an ugly incident had grown into something special. Marcus was setting up for this month's barbecue when Carlos, the park supervisor, came to help. "I have some news," Carlos said as he helped unload coolers from Marcus's truck. "The park board wants to name this picnic area after you." Marcus looked surprised. "After me? Why?" "Because of what you've done here," Carlos explained. Before the incident with the Whitmans, different groups in the community stayed separate. Now look at this place. Marcus looked around. People of all backgrounds were arriving, greeting each other like old friends. Children played together without caring about differences. Seniors sat in the shade talking and laughing. "I don't need my name on anything," Marcus said. "This was never about me." "Think about it," Carlos said. "It would send a message about what our community stands for." Later that day, as Marcus was grilling chicken, Lisa came over with her phone. "You need to see this," she said, showing him a news article. The headline read, "Harold Whitman running for city council in Newtown." There was a picture of Harold smiling at a small campaign event. "I can't believe it," Marcus said. "After everything that happened, he's trying to get into politics?" Lisa scrolled down. "Read what he's saying in his speech." Marcus read the quotes from Harold. "My experience taught me that we need to listen to all voices in our community. I made terrible mistakes in my past, but I've learned from them. I want to help build a place where everyone feels welcome and respected." Marcus didn't know what to think. Was Harold truly changed? Or was this just a trick to gain power? That evening, Marcus received an email from Sarah Whitman. I wanted you to know about my father's campaign before you heard it elsewhere, she wrote. The classes and community service really did change him. He's not perfect, but he's trying. My mother is still struggling to change her views, but she's making progress too. Marcus showed the email to Lisa. What do you think? Is this real change? People can change, Lisa said. But it's their actions that matter, not their words. The next day at work, Marcus was surprised when his boss called him to his office. Marcus, I have an unusual request, Mr. Wilson said. A nearby town wants to hire our company to train their police department on handling confrontations. They specifically asked for you to lead the training. Which town? Marcus asked. Riverdale, Mr. Wilson replied. It's where the Whitmans moved. 2. Marcus was shocked. This was the town where Harold was now running for city council. The request came directly from their police chief, Mr. Wilson continued. He saw your interview after the incident and was impressed by your approach. Marcus thought carefully before answering. I'll do it, he finally said. But I want to bring Officer Bennett and Officer Rivera as part of the team. 2 weeks later, Marcus drove to Riverdale with the 2 officers. The training was scheduled for 3 days. As they entered the police station, Marcus felt nervous. He wondered if he would run into Harold. The police chief greeted them warmly. Thank you for coming, Mr. Johnson. Our department needs this training badly. We've had some incidents that could have been handled better. The first day of training went well. Marcus taught the officers about staying calm in difficult situations. He showed them how to talk to angry people without making things worse. Officer Bennett and Officer Rivera shared their experiences too. After the day's session, Marcus went to his hotel. As he entered the lobby, he stopped suddenly. Harold Whitman was sitting in one of the chairs, clearly waiting for him. Marcus took a deep breath and walked over. Hello, Harold. Harold stood up. He looked different, thinner, with more gray in his hair. Thank you for agreeing to meet me. I didn't agree to anything, Marcus said. How did you know I was here? It's a small town, Harold explained. News travels fast. I wanted to talk to you face to face, not just through a letter. They sat down in the corner of the lobby. For a moment, neither spoke. I've followed everything you've done since that day, Harold finally said. The community, barbecues, your new job, the way you've turned something terrible into something positive. Marcus just nodded, waiting for Harold to continue. I was wrong in every way, Harold said. Not just that day at the park, but in how I thought about people different from me. The sensitivity classes were just the beginning. I've spent this past year really listening and learning. Why are you running for city council? Marcus asked directly. Harold looked down at his hands. Because this town has the same problems I had. People here don't know how to live together with differences. I thought maybe someone who learned the hard way could help change things. Marcus studied Harold's face. The angry man from the park was gone. This person seemed humbler, quieter. Sarah told me about the community center that replaced our store, Harold continued. That was a better use for that building than our hardware store ever was. Before Marcus could respond, the hotel door opened and a woman walked in. It was Patricia Whitman. She looked uncomfortable when she saw Marcus. I asked Patricia to come meet you too, Harold explained. She's had a harder time changing her views, but she's trying. Patricia slowly walked over. Mr. Johnson, she said formally, I want to apologize for my behavior that day. There's no excuse for how I acted. Marcus had never expected to have this conversation. Thank you for saying that, he replied. It takes courage to face your mistakes. We lost everything because of what we did, Patricia said. Our business, our reputation, our friends, but maybe we needed to lose it all to see how wrong we were. The 3 of them talked for an hour. Harold and Patricia told Marcus about their struggle to change lifelong ways of thinking. Marcus shared how the incident had affected his family. Before they left, Harold asked, would you consider coming to speak at one of my campaign events? People here need to hear your story. Marcus thought about it. I'm not endorsing your campaign. I don't know you well enough for that. but I will come and share my experience. The rest is up to you. The next day, as Marcus continued the police training, news spread about his meeting with the Whitmans. Some officers were surprised that Marcus would talk to them after what happened. Why? Did you agree to meet them? One officer asked during a break. Because change has to be possible, Marcus explained. If we don't believe people can change, what's the point of any of this work? On the final day of training, the local newspaper ran a story about Marcus and the Whitmans. The headline read, "Former enemies find path to reconciliation." As Marcus drove home, he thought about everything that had happened since that day at the park. The angry confrontation had led to pain and consequences, but it had also created unexpected opportunities for growth and change. When he got home, Lisa was waiting with news of her own. The mayor called. They want to make our community barbecue an official city event, with funding and support. Marcus smiled. From one family's barbecue to an official city event, who would have thought? That night, Marcus looked at old pictures of his Navy SEAL team. He remembered how they had learned to trust each other despite coming from completely different backgrounds. Maybe communities could learn to do the same. The path forward wouldn't be easy. Real change never was. But as Marcus had learned in the military and in life, the hardest paths often led to the most important destinations. 2 months after Marcus's visit to Riverdale, he received a package in the mail. Inside was a newspaper with the headline, "Former Troublemaker Wins City Council Seat." The article showed Harold Whitman smiling with supporters after winning the election. There was a note attached. "Thank you for giving me a second chance. Your visit made a difference." Marcus showed the newspaper to Lisa. "Well, he actually won," Marcus said, surprised. "Do you think he'll do a good job?" Lisa asked. "I hope so," Marcus replied. "He has a unique chance to show that people can really change." The phone rang. It was Mr. Wilson, Marcus's boss. "Marcus, I have big news. The training you did for the Riverdale police was so successful that 3 other cities want the same program. They're calling it the Johnson method, how to handle conflict without making it worse." Marcus was shocked. "They named it after me?" "Yes. And there's more," Mr. Wilson continued. "I want to create a new division in our company focused just on this kind of training. I want you to lead it." This was a huge opportunity. Marcus would be able to train police departments, security teams, and even schools on how to handle difficult situations. His experience as a Navy SEAL and the lessons from the park incident would help others. "I need some time to think about it," Marcus told his boss. "This is a big step." That evening, as Marcus and Lisa discussed the offer, their doorbell rang. It was Sarah Whitman standing there with a young man. "Sorry to come without calling first," Sarah said. "This is my fiancé, Michael. We were in town and wanted to see you." Marcus invited them in. Sarah explained that she had moved to Riverdale to help with her father's campaign. "I never thought I'd work with my father on anything, but he's really changed. The whole town is talking about it." Michael nodded. "I was skeptical at first. I'm mixed race, and when Sarah told me about her parents' history, I didn't want anything to do with them. But Harold has put in the work to change." "What about your mother?" Lisa asked Sarah. "She's taking smaller steps," Sarah said. "But she volunteers at a community center now, working with all kinds of people. That's progress for her." After Sarah and Michael left, Marcus made his decision. He called Mr. Wilson and accepted the new position. "I want to make a difference," he told his boss. "If my experience can help others, I need to do this." The next few months were busy. Marcus traveled to different cities teaching his conflict resolution methods. He always started by telling the story of what happened at the park. It was a powerful example of how a situation could either explode or be handled with dignity. One day, Marcus got a call from Harold. "Marcus, we have a situation in Riverdale. There's tension between different groups in town. Would you consider coming back to help us work through this?" Marcus agreed to visit. When he arrived in Riverdale, he found that the town was divided over plans for a new community center. Some residents wanted it built in the older, mostly white part of town. Others wanted it in the more diverse area where newer residents lived. Harold had called a town meeting to discuss the issue. He asked Marcus to help lead the conversation. The meeting was held in the high school gym, which was packed with people from both sides of town. Harold opened the meeting. Before we start, I want everyone to know that I understand both sides of this issue. Not long ago, I was someone who didn't want change in my community. I was wrong. Today, we have someone who can help us talk to each other instead of yelling. Many of you know the story of how Marcus Johnson and I met. It wasn't good, but what happened after is a lesson for all of us. Marcus stepped up to speak. He looked out at the crowd, old residents, new residents, all watching him with curious eyes. I'm not here to tell you where to build your community center, Marcus began. I'm here to help you talk to each other about it. The worst decisions come when people don't listen to each other. Marcus divided the large group into smaller mixed groups. Each group had people from different parts of town. He gave them simple rules. Listen without interrupting. Ask questions to understand. Look for common ground. At first, the conversations were difficult. Old residents talked about their history in the town and their fear of change. Newer residents spoke about feeling unwelcome and needing services in their area. A woman who had lived in Riverdale for 50 years spoke up. I've never really talked to anyone from the east side of town before. I didn't know they didn't have a playground for their children. A younger man who had moved to town 2 years ago nodded. And I didn't know that the old community center was built by volunteers from the town back in the 1970s. That's something special. As the night went on, something changed in the room. People who had arrived angry were now talking calmly. Some were even laughing together. At the end of the meeting, a surprising solution emerged. Instead of one new community center, the town would build a smaller center in the newer area and renovate the old center. Both areas would get what they needed, and people from all parts of town would have reasons to visit both places. Harold thanked Marcus as the meeting ended. You've taught us something important here. When people really listen to each other, better solutions appear. Patricia Whitman was at the meeting too. She had been quiet most of the night, but now she approached Marcus. You could have refused to help us after what we did to you. Most people would have. Why didn't you? Marcus thought about it. Because holding on to anger hurts everyone, and because I believe people can change when given the chance. The next morning, as Marcus prepared to leave Riverdale, he got a call from a major news network. They wanted to do a story about his work in conflict resolution and how it had started with the incident at the park. We'd like to interview you and the Whitmans together, the reporter said, to show how enemies can become allies. Marcus agreed to the interview. A week later, he sat with Harold and Patricia in front of cameras. The reporter asked difficult questions about that day at the park, about racism, and about forgiveness. Mr. Johnson, do you forgive the Whitmans for what they did? The reporter asked. Marcus chose his words carefully. Forgiveness is a process, not a single moment. What matters is that we all keep learning and growing. The Whitmans are doing the work to change. I respect that. Harold spoke next. I don't deserve forgiveness. What I can do is spend every day trying to be better and help others do the same. The interview was broadcast nationally. Soon Marcus began receiving invitations to speak at schools, churches, and community events. His story of conflict and reconciliation resonated with people across the country. Back home, the city finally held the ceremony to name the park picnic area after Marcus. Despite his earlier reluctance, Marcus agreed when they suggested calling it Community Circle instead of using his name. At the ceremony, the mayor spoke about how one incident had changed their city for the better. Sometimes it takes a difficult moment to show us who we really are and who we want to be, the mayor said. As Marcus looked around at the diverse crowd gathered in the park, he thought about how far they had all come. The angry couple who had confronted him that day had set off a chain of events that none of them could have predicted. The real lesson, Marcus told the crowd, is that what matters most is not what happens to us, but how we respond to it. Every day, we have the chance to choose a better path. 5 years had passed since the incident at the park. What began as an ugly confrontation had grown into something much bigger than Marcus could have imagined. His conflict resolution program was now used in schools, police departments, and communities across the country. Marcus sat in his office looking at an email from a publisher. They wanted him to write a book about his experiences and methods. The working title was The Park Lesson: How to Turn Conflict into Community. Lisa knocked on his office door. "Are you ready? We need to leave soon." Today was a special day. Marcus and Lisa were traveling to Washington, D.C. The president was giving Marcus an award for his work in community building and conflict resolution. "Just finishing up some emails," Marcus said. "Did the kids get packed?" Their 2 children were now teenagers. They had watched their father turn a painful experience into a mission to help others. Both kids were active in school programs that taught younger students how to solve problems without fighting. The family arrived in Washington that evening. Their hotel room had a view of the monuments lit up at night. Marcus stood at the window, thinking about his journey from Navy SEAL to community leader. The next morning, they went to the White House for the ceremony. Several other people were also receiving awards for their work in different communities. As they waited, an aide approached. "Marcus, Mr. Johnson, there's someone who would like to speak with you before the ceremony," the aide said, leading Marcus to a small side room. When Marcus entered, he was surprised to see Harold Whitman standing there in a suit. Harold was now in his 2nd term on the Riverdale City Council and had become known for his work bringing different groups together. "Harold? What are you doing here?" Marcus asked. Harold smiled. "They invited me to be part of the ceremony. I'll be introducing you." Marcus was shocked. "You're introducing me? Does the White House know our history?" "That's why they asked me," Harold explained. "They think our story shows what's possible when people change and work together." During the ceremony, Harold stepped to the microphone. The audience fell quiet as he began to speak. "5 years ago, I was a different person, angry, closed-minded, hateful." Harold paused, looking around the room. "I confronted a man who was simply having a barbecue with his family. I pushed him. My wife threw his food on the ground. We were arrested, and rightfully so." The room was completely silent as Harold continued. "That man was Marcus Johnson, a retired Navy SEAL who had served our country with honor. He had every right to hate me for what I did. Instead, he showed me a different path. His response to my hatred opened the door for me to change." Harold looked directly at Marcus. "The award today recognizes Marcus for creating a program that has helped thousands of people learn to handle conflict better. But what most people don't know is that his greatest achievement might be giving a hateful man the chance to become a better human being." As Marcus accepted the award, he thanked his family, his former SEAL teammates, and the community that had supported him. Then he said something that surprised many people. "I also want to thank Harold and Patricia Whitman. Their actions that day at the park were wrong, but their journey since then shows that real change is possible. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. Sometimes the hardest response leads to the most important change." After the ceremony, a reception was held in a large White House room. People lined up to speak with Marcus. Many shared their own stories of conflict and resolution. A woman approached with tears in her eyes. "Your program saved my son's life," she said. "He was headed down a dangerous path, always fighting and getting in trouble. The conflict resolution program at his school changed everything. He's in college now." As the reception was ending, the president pulled Marcus aside. "I've been following your work for years," the president said. "We need your program in more schools and communities. Would you consider working with our administration on a national level?" This was a huge opportunity. Marcus would be able to bring his program to even more people across the country. "I'd be honored," he told the president. That evening, Marcus and his family had dinner with Harold and Patricia. Sarah joined them with her husband Michael and their new baby. The 2 families, once enemies, now sat together sharing a meal and making plans for future work together. "Did you ever imagine this would happen?" Lisa asked, looking around the table. "All of us here together in Washington?" Patricia, who had remained the quietest on the journey of change, spoke up. "Never. I was so wrong for so long. It's still hard sometimes to admit that. But when I look at my grandbaby and think about the world I want for her, I know this path is right. The next day before leaving Washington, Marcus visited the Lincoln Memorial. He stood reading the words carved in stone. With malice toward none, with charity for all. A group of high school students on a field trip recognized him. "You're Marcus Johnson," one student said excitedly. "We use your conflict program at our school. Can we take a picture with you?" As Marcus posed with the students, their teacher explained that these teens were part of a special leadership program that taught conflict resolution to younger kids. "Your work has created a ripple effect," the teacher told Marcus. "These students are taking what they've learned and passing it on." 1 month later, Marcus began his work with the administration. His first project was creating a national school program that would teach conflict resolution skills to students of all ages. Harold joined the advisory board, bringing his perspective as someone who had changed his views late in life. The story of what happened at the park became part of the program's introduction. Students learned about the angry confrontation, the immediate consequences, and the long journey of healing and growth that followed. As part of the program launch, Marcus returned to the original park where it all began. The community circle picnic area now had a small plaque telling the story of what had happened there. School groups often visited to learn about turning conflict into understanding. Carlos, the park supervisor who had helped that first day, was now the park director. He greeted Marcus warmly. "You know, we have the lowest rate of conflicts in any park in the region now. People say this is the friendliest park in the city." Marcus smiled. Sometimes the worst days can lead to the best changes. That evening, Marcus and Lisa hosted another community barbecue. Hundreds of people came, including many who had been there on that first difficult day 5 years ago. Officer Rivera and Officer Bennett, both now promoted to higher ranks, brought their families. Sarah and Michael came with their baby. Even the young woman who had first recorded the incident on her phone was there. She was now a journalism student, writing about positive community change. As the sun began to set, Marcus looked around at all the different people enjoying food and conversation together. Children played without seeing differences. Older people shared stories with younger ones. What had started with anger and hate had somehow grown into something beautiful. A reporter who was covering the event asked Marcus for one final thought. "The lesson I learned that day wasn't just about standing up to racism," Marcus said. "It was about what happens after. Do we stay locked in anger, or do we find a way forward? The hardest path is often the most important one." As darkness fell, lights came on around the park. The community that had come together that day 5 years ago was stronger now, more connected, more understanding of differences. The incident that could have divided them had instead become the moment that brought them together. And Marcus Johnson, who had faced danger many times as a Navy SEAL, had found that sometimes the greatest courage isn't facing an enemy, but offering a hand to someone who could become a friend.